Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. How you doing, brothers and sisters? This is your host, your humble host, Preacher Moss of the SOS Shout Out Show. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Glad you could tune in. It's one of those weird Wednesdays, it's kind of lazy, it's kind of hazy. But you know what? It's hump day. And we celebrate hump day. You know why? Because once you get over this day, you're looking at Thursday and Friday, and these are going to be probably the last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday you'll be able to celebrate for a lot of folks, Muslims, because Ramadan is right around the corner. It's breathing down our necks, brothers and sisters. You're talking about less than 5 days. So, welcoming that in, I want to take the time out to thank folks who tuned into the show yesterday. We went a little different with our theme, but you know what? I felt it very important. And some of the folks I talked to felt like it was very important to start speaking about issues of mental health in our communities, Muslim, non-Muslim communities, speaking to our youth, engaging our youth. I want to give a shout out to my brother JT, who we had a great conversation earlier today talking about the needs and the ethics of our youth, and sometimes showing a little bit of flexibility. We grew up differently. We had a different set of problems. They have a different set of problems, a different type of lexicon and how they deal with their issues. And I'm like, you know what? That makes a huge amount of sense, if you will. It makes a lot of sense. And it also gave me a chance to step back and humble myself, because I realized, as much as I love youth and family and things like that, there have been some times where I've been less than diplomatic and said the wrong things, thinking, brothers and sisters, let me say thinking or perceiving that I was doing somebody a favor. And let me tell you something about the idea of a favor. Stop thinking you're doing someone a favor sometimes. The way it really works is, if someone asks you for a favor, then that allows for the permissibility for you to grant the favor or not grant the favor. Don't think that you're granting them a favor just because you're doing something and you think it will help them. Ask. So I want to get into our topic today. I'm going to get out of here at 5:30. I'm going to be practicing the 3Bs. Be brief, brother. In the hope of being able to synthesize down, get things a little bit tighter for what our show format is going to be. And of course, as we head into Ramadan, we will be bringing back the Preacher Moss Ramadan 30 for 30. We're looking to have some great exchanges, some great guests on. I want to give a big shout out to two of our sponsors, one of which will be Bayan Islamic Graduate School, of which I am receiving my master's. Big shout out to Bayan in conjunction with the Muhammad Ali Center. I want to give them a shout out as well. And we're going to be flashing some stuff from Zakat Foundation of America. We hope, inshallah. So listen, let me get into it. Let me invite anybody who's coming to the show for the first time. Welcome. We appreciate you coming to the show. Here's the deal. I want you to understand some of the topics that we talk about. The different topics, they're varied topics, but for various reasons. We tend to look at not current events, but we tend to hang our hat on things that are relevant. We can't wait for a current event to come up so we can talk about it on the show. So sometimes we preempt that and we take the liberties and we speak about these things. And I like to say in a communal fashion, I do a lot of talking, but I do like to have people give their opinions. And sometimes people give their opinions after the show. My point, brothers and sisters, is that everybody's opinion is valuable. Everyone's opinion is valuable. The one that's not valuable is the one that's not being shared. So let me get into this. If you're on the show for the first time, hop into the comment section. Get what's affectionately known as the shout out. The shout out recognizes not just you, it recognizes you, your value, and we like to get some comments. This is a very open platform, if you will. And so we tend to spend time letting our folks talk. And I am looking forward during Ramadan, inshallah, to taking some of our shout out show regulars and putting them in. We're gonna put them in the queue. We're gonna ask them about their Ramadan and bring them on the show, and we'll talk. I'm thinking I'm gonna interview one guest a week, 2 guests a week, just to get a feel about how your Ramadan is going and things like that. And we're gonna open it up for folks too. That's number one. Number two, I do have something special that I will be bringing about. And it's just very small, brothers and sisters. It's a very small gesture, but I feel like, you know what? I want people to come to the show and feel comfortable. So we'll get into that. If not today, definitely tomorrow. So here's the favorite part of the show for me. This is when you recognize the people that make your show the show it actually is. When I say that, it means that people who are coming on the show, not only are they getting into the comment section, I call them the stars in the building, if you will, the Shout Out Show family, the Shout Out Show soldiers. These are the people that bring narratives. And this is what I really, really enjoy, that people bring their narratives. This is a family show. When I say family show, it means that we check on each other. We care about one another. And it's not about having a bunch of views, 500 views, a million views, whatever. It's about having a view. It's about having an opinion. I don't want a view like you looked at it. I want to know your opinion. And this is what makes the show better. If there is a term as a secret sauce, that is the secret sauce of the Shout Out Show. So if you're on the show for the first time, get in that comment section. Let us know. Let us know what you're about. We had a brother come in yesterday. He said Cleveland in the house. And it was funny, because I appreciate Cleveland in the house. So if you want to get in, get recognized, get into the comment section. Let us know who you are. Give a greeting, because we're going to give you a greeting back, because that's the way it goes. And here's the best part of the show. We're going to get into our Shout Out Soul Soldiers. Who's number one? Top of the heap, we have Sister Ree. Ree is on the road to recovery. She's finally got with some doctors that know what the heck they're talking about. They've given her a prescription and a treatment plan. I am happy that Sister Ree, you are getting better, because I was worried for a couple of days. Because a lot of times, and it's not an overreach, that people get sick in our community, and it may be something simple. When I look back, I lost my brother Reginald Kitchen, and I remember having a conversation with him because his diabetes was giving him problems. He had a series of mini strokes, and giving the lack of information and the large focus on COVID, because there was no vaccine at the time. It was interesting because we began to talk about how that attention to COVID took away from attention for his diabetes. And we literally had to have a conversation about janazas, because that's what it is. So I do, admittedly, mother hen some of y'all. When you're not doing well, I do mother hen you. I want to know what's going on. So Ree, Miss Eleanor, my mom, all of you. And it's only because we care. All right, Sister Ree. And that turkey lasagna is still banging. Next up, that's Brother Chase. What's going on, Brother Chase? Giving the love. Hello, family. Thank you so much, Brother D. Thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate you, man. Take care of the queen. All right, we got Altaf Rashid. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullah barakatuh. Our official Canadian ambassador who makes it to the show every day. And we're going to have a show. We're going to get you married, Altaf. You got too much time on your hands. You're too happy. We got to take care of that. We're going to get you married. Get that smile off your face. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, brother. I appreciate you coming on the show. And if I haven't said it once, if I said it once, I said it 1,000 times, or at least 300 plus times. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and we appreciate your support. Next up, my brother, my main man, my day one, my little brother JT, Johnny L. Thomas. I want to say, man, thank you for the conversation. Earlier we had was I was riding back to the house, and it made it a lot easier, because sometimes when you're talking subjects through, topics through, they're in your mind. And a lot of times I'm guilty of talking a topic through my mind and not, properly bouncing it off of people, because it is a thing where you can do all the research and you get all the information, but the presentation, the tonality that you're trying to give, and also the message can get a little bit jumbled, or you can miss the mark. You can totally miss the mark. There's been some shows, I can think of at least two, where I started in one position, went this way where I should have gone that way, and totally missed the mark. I admit it, I own it, but what I did was I'm trying to get better as much as I can. I'm just trying to get better. And that's the whole idea of the Shout Out Show. We're getting better. So shout out to JT, Yolanda, Justin Jordan, the Thomas family, Miss Maisie, Miss Mamie, and the sisters Eunice and Vivian and Edwin. So, all right, little brother, thank you so much for the conversation earlier, and thank you for being on the show. Next up, there you go. Mama Ma saying, glad you're feeling better. My daughter, she has to be talking to Miss Ree. There's only $2 that she had, Ree and Miss Eleanor. So this is the way it works, brothers and sisters. That whole idea of community. One day, I don't know. One day, I hope somebody really takes this idea of having a community show and really blows it up. I mean, be majorly successful. I'm not saying me, I'm talking about just be majorly successful. I mean, that's why we used to watch Oprah, because Oprah back in the day made it seem like a community show. And the funny thing about Oprah is I remember watching Oprah do a Good Morning Baltimore, a small show they had out of Baltimore, morning show. And I realized that she had a co-host, but she had such a connection to the audience that the audience felt at home with her, to the point they didn't really feel like there were even cameras around when they talked. And I'm getting to that point with our show, with everybody we talk to. Yeah, I feel like the camera's not on. I feel like we're just having a general conversation. Okay. Thank you, Mary Moss. Hope you're feeling better. I hope that swelling went down after your lunch. Okay, what we got next? And we can't forget Sister Sultana, who is the consultant producer of the show at this point in time. She's the bedrock. She's done more shows than I have, technically. So you have to tip your hat to that, number one. Number two is keeping things fresh. Sister Sultana helps me keep things fresh. A lot of times you guys don't know, after the show, she may spend 20 to 25 to 30 minutes just going over stuff in the show and talking about some of the ideas that we may use for another show, some of the things I missed, and something, like I said, I'm not an easy guy to be around sometimes, especially when I'm in my creative space, but she makes it so much easier to have a collaborative experience, not just for me, but for all of us. So kudos to Sister Sultana. Big ups. Let's talk about a topic today. Understanding ability versus intention. Understanding ability versus intention. Let me tell you what this came from. A very good friend, a very, 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 very good friend of mine, and I had a disagreement recently about how some things had gone in the past, and he was upset. I won't say he was in his feelings. That's disrespectful, but he had a point of view. He felt need to be expressed. He expressed it to me. And I said, hey, listen, we're brothers, we're friends for quite a number of years. Let's work this out. Some of it is just getting off this steam off your chest. And he got his steam off his chest. And then I didn't have a whole lot to report back, if you will. I wasn't trying to have a debate. I wasn't trying to have a debate. But I said one thing. I said, I appreciate everything you said. I've taken under consideration. I said, one thing I am not is I am not perfect. So you have a right to inform me when I am not correct in your eyes, and likewise and things. But I said, this one thing I do have to make a mark of. I said, do not get into the point where you look at ability and then frame it that you know my intentions. I said, don't look at my ability to do things and then all of a sudden you feel like you can frame my intentions. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Over the last 7.5 years, 8 years, let's give it 8 years. There's been a slow move whereby people can look at other people's ability and somehow be given license and privilege to figure out what their intentions are. Let me say it again. People look at somebody's ability and somehow they figure that they can frame their intentions. I was talking to Sister Sultana about this. I said, one of the things that's happened these days is that we've created a culture. I don't say create a culture. Let me take that back. We've made allowances for a culture that can look at ability, not engage the people's ability, but just look at ability. And from ability, have legal precedence to figure out somebody's intention. And people go, preach, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that we're running into more and more of a different kind of pandemic. A pandemic whereby if I don't like you, if I don't agree with you, I can frame your ability. Now I say ability. Ability means potential. Ability means options. I can frame that. And I also have the right now to tell somebody, not even you, what your intentions are. I would like to say that this started back in 2001, 9/11, the Patriot Act, George W. said something in the middle of everybody's hysteria from the attacks on the World Trade Center. He said something and he framed something that we still deal with today. It was the idea of, work with me here, preemptive strikes. Now, preemptive strikes is a prime example of ability versus intention. Preemptive strike says that he said basically that these terrorists have the ability to strike us. True. So does Russia, so does China, so does a whole lot of people have the ability to strike the United States. And I'm just saying in a mode of terrorism, right? But he said the ability frame the allowance for him to act on their attention. The ability allowed him to act on their attention, meaning there's an ability for this to happen. But now they are the ones who frame intention. Case in point, some of us have all had the experience of going to the grocery store and have somebody follow us up and down the lane, making sure that we didn't steal anything. Now, it seems like a light example, but it's not that light. They frame the ability for you to steal something and now have rolled it over to the fact you may have intentions to steal something. You have the ability, but now I'm putting on you that you have the intentions. It's a very serious process, a very dangerous process, because what's happened is we have allowed people's fervor and passion to remove the primary source of reason. So people don't look at reason, your reason to do something. They just look at your intention. They don't look at the narrative along the way. They look at intention. So here we are in 2021, and it's getting worse. I do believe with COVID, it has made things worse with the quarantining and people not necessarily talking to one another. We have lost some aspects of how you reason with individuals. You see, when you ask somebody something, how you get from point A, if there's an A, B, and C, the narrative for how you get to C has to be, you have to talk about A, B, all the way over to C. And we don't have that right now. We don't have that right now. You know, people are talking to computers, they're talking to screens, they're talking to robots, they're talking to every kind of artificial intelligence that's out there. But it's allowed, brothers and sisters, let me say this again, it's allowed this really, really gray space that's getting more and more murkier, if you will. See, when you start putting pieces in place, and I always say this about Allah, Allah is a great puzzle maker. And I say the great puzzle maker because he can create a puzzle, if you will, and he doesn't just give you a piece for the puzzle. He gives you a piece in a particular fashion, in a particular year, in a particular sequencing. The evidence has been around us for years. Ability versus intention. Ferguson, Michael Brown. Why was Michael Brown killed? It was a case of ability versus intention. The officer said, I was scared of Michael Brown. I was scared. He had the ability to hurt me. And that idea of the ability to hurt me automatically gave him leave to assume he had intentions to hurt me. Before that, George Zimmerman, and you know who I'm going to say, right? Good. But here's a young man in a hoodie and Skittles. This is somebody who goes and instigates a situation scenario. He instigates. He grows the opportunity for ability for something bad to happen. Right? He grows that situation. He tells people, now I'm scared, but you have orchestrated a situation whereby the ability right now automatically leads to intentions. And now we're left to figure out what your intentions are. Well, for this young man who's no longer here, he can't tell us his intentions. Was his intentions to protect himself? Was his intentions to the fact that he was under attack? We don't know. But what I do know, and what I feel, and anybody could jump in here, is that there's been a slow eroding of the ideology of reason. And when you don't have reason, this increase in fervor, this increase in passion is the fact to do what? To cement ideology, to cement perception of somebody's ability. And it gives you reason to usurp. Hear me now. To usurp the normal channels of logic and reason. And I can merely say that you're going to do something. I can merely say that I don't know. I don't have proof. I don't have evidence. But the passion around my framing that you have the ability to, like I have the ability to breathe, right? I have the ability to breathe. It doesn't mean my intention is to breathe on you. I have the ability to blink. My blinking is not the intention to do something evil to you, it's blinking. Everything has to have an explanation. Every yin has to have a yang. When we begin looking at this, it becomes more and more apparent now that people are now find themselves cut off for interactions, cut off for engagements that will allow them to be in groups of people that go, that's wrong. That's the important thing about reason and logic, because they frame what's correct and they frame what's not correct. It's like framing something that's valuable and framing something that's not valuable. It's very, very finite, but at the same time, very, very nuanced because it requires consensus. You know, I thought about the insurrection. What was scary about the insurrection was you had a whole lot of people who had gone through almost the same process that we would say for extremists, meaning that they were housed. They found these co-ops, these cooperative living situations, whether on computer, whether in person, whether through apparatus like QAnon, but they found places whereby they could live and exist and evolve sans reason, sans a real a meaningful engagement about people's intentions. They don't talk to other people other than themselves. And what even makes this a little bit more interesting is we would tear down extremists, rightfully so. We tear down extremists. But what are extremists? Extremists are people who are at some point in time rational, but then they get moved to irrationality. What am I saying? You put people in the room, right? If you put 10 people in the room and you run water outside, and one person goes, it's raining outside, the other 9 might go to the window and go look. But if you keep them in the room long enough, and 8 people say it's raining outside, the other 2 may go look out the window, or they may not. But if you get 10 people going, it's raining outside, and none of them go to the window to check it out, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You've now created a system whereby people don't have to have the checks and balances. They're allowed to run full muck with their passions. Passion replaces the idea of reason. So I could be passionate without accountability to reason. And when we talk about ability versus intention, brothers and sisters, it's a scary idea. It's a scary idea. We talk about we're talking about a court case. We're talking about George Floyd. What happened to George Floyd? Same thing. Ability versus intention. The police officer, what he said, Derek Chauvin, he talked about the guy's ability to hurt him. He had the ability to hurt him. He could hurt me here, but we never ever heard that George Floyd had the intention to hurt him. And you won't hear that he has the intention to hurt him because he's no longer here. In our own families, we have to be careful. Words matter. Words matter. Words have weight. Yesterday's show was a sad show because we had two young men in a family of six. Two young men in a family of six, and some twisted, sordid idea felt that their ability, if you will, somehow entitled them to figure out everybody else's intentions. A murder suicide. Think about that. A murder suicide. 6 people gone. These two young men, and they were not children, 19 and 21 years old. College students. You say, man, what happened to them in college? It doesn't matter. It can happen to any of us. And that's the other thing I want to say. It can happen to any of us. So, we have to guard our tongue. We have to look at what we're saying. Look at what we're writing. Look at what we're posting, brothers and sisters, because people see that stuff. Some time ago, and I know Sister Tana is going to be upset with me, but I stopped posting on Instagram for quite a while. I alluded to it because I'm like, you know what? Social media. I had a show about social media. And what was the thing about social media that I talked about? Intentionality. That I could say something and somebody could take my intentions the wrong way. And here we are again. Now, before we get out of here, I think it's important for us to have a summary, if you will. That what I was talking about, ability versus intention, is sort of like when you're a kid. Your mom says, I'm going to take you to the park. I mean, she has the ability to take you to the park. Right? You say, I want to go to the no. When I said she said she's going to take you to the park, you ask her, she take you to the park? Why? Because you recognize she has the ability as the adult to do so. When mom doesn't take you to the park, a lot of times because mom just got home from work. She was cooking. She was tired. What was our intent? What were we saying? Mama don't want to take me to the park. We were kids thinking these things. Mama don't want to do this. We were kids thinking these things. But by the grace of Allah, we all grow out of it. Or do we? Do we really grow out of it? Given a particular situation scenario, are some of us still caught in that we believe, according to our needs, according to our nafs, according to our selfish self-interest, we believe that we can figure out or rightfully interpret somebody else's intention. This is dangerous. This is dangerous. So I'm going to sign off, if you know. And we got brought out to more and more people stating that they're speaking based on freedom of speech. We become people that speak first and think later. Altaf, I really like the way you put that because speak first, think later, ability, and think. You're thinking about other people's intentions. I really like the way you put that, because we say things like that, and it's move to action. It's move to action. Thank you so much, Altaf. I really appreciate that. So that's our show. Let me wrap up with our sponsor. Everybody, you know who our sponsor is. I say it every day and we'll continue to do so. I want you to call 1-800-679-3175. Again, that's 1-800-679-3175 for BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's for BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Check them out. I'm encouraging everybody to check them out. We're going to have hopefully some little ads for them because they've been sticking with us. They've been sticking with us for quite a long time. And I do believe in supporting some small businesses. So this will be one I support and will continue to have my support. That's one. But for the wrap up, I want to put it plainly. When I talked about my friend earlier, we've been friends a long time, very long time, over 30 years. And I had to say, before this becomes messy, don't look at my ability at something and then think that you can determine my intent. Because I said we can't be friends that way. And he understood. He took it well. But this is friends who have relationship. We have a relationship from a number of years. That's the benefit of friendship. Think about how this sounds for people that don't know each other. For people who don't know each other. There's a great book by Malcolm Gladwell, his last one, talking about how we are such poor, we're very poor judges of character at some point in time. He says, because the initial meetup is difficult. Now we are in a situation again where people are finding value where there isn't. People are assigning attention when they don't know. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have been great. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's show, we will not be going through this stuff. Tomorrow's show, think about it. We're going to be talking about your favorite ghetto candy and ghetto snacks. You heard it. Ghetto candy and ghetto snacks. What is the prime characteristic of a hood store is that they have a cat that sleeps on the bread. Shout out to comedian Rashid. Okay, everybody, listen, I got to get out of here. You guys have been terrific. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your shout out show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next shout out show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tarif Attar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out tarifattar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.